When I got my mission call, I had no idea really what Tijuana was like. My first impression of what it was like was my mom's face when I opened my call, and she was just terrified for me. But I looked it up and I realized that it was known for its crime and known for drug crossing across the border and lots of things like that. But when I got there, I realized that part of that was true, that it is a somewhat crazy city, that the traffic is insane. You have to give yourself at least an hour to get to your meetings, and the buses are crowded, and there's people running in the streets. They sometimes drive on the sidewalks. It's a little bit crazy in that sense. And I always felt safe as a missionary when I obeyed the rules and went to my house on time. I know there were circumstances for other missionaries when they were robbed or when they were confronted in that way. And I was followed a few times, but I always felt safe when I did follow the rules and when I was just obeying, the time schedule and things like that. Most people work in factories if they work in Mexico, but lots of people do cross the border and they work in San Diego. And so it's really interesting because those people have a lot higher income because they receive money in dollars and others in pesos. And so the economic difference between people is outstanding, that some are very well off and then others live in wooden houses or tin, metal houses. And so there was a lot of diversity in that way. And honestly, there's not much to do as a tourist in Tijuana. It's not really a pretty city in that sense, but it's an amazing place that I would go back any day to go visit. So I'll start with housing, I guess. As a sister missionary, I will admit that we get the better houses in the mission, and so I always felt very comfortable with the houses that I was in. They don't have carpet, and they don't have lots of the luxuries that we have here, but they have nice homes, and the mission provides and the church provides really nice things for their missionaries. The cost of living, we received about 1,000 pesos every 2 weeks, I believe. And that's about $50. So we received about $100 a month for our food and personal items and travel, and depending on where you were in the mission. And the cost of an apartment was usually 1,000 pesos to 4,000, 5,000 pesos, which is very cheap compared to here. And the weather in Tijuana, it was actually kind of surprising because when I heard of Mexico, I thought it was going to be really hot all of the time. But in the winter, I did go wear a jacket all the time, and I slept in a hat and gloves, actually, because they don't have heating and they don't have air conditioning in Tijuana, because it usually stays between, 40 degrees to maybe up into the high 90s in Tijuana itself. So that's where I was most of my mission. And so it does get kind of cold if you're walking outside all day, and it does get really hot. But other areas in the mission, it gets up to 130 degrees in the summer. And luckily, I never served there, but there were lots of people that did. But the weather's pretty temperate. In February, they have a really rainy season where it just pours all the time, but just for a week or so. There's not a lot to do that we were allowed to do. On P days, we usually just played sports as a zone. We played volleyball. Sometimes we would go look at the beach, without getting too close. And I'm sure there are lots of things that you could do just going to visit. The tacos, great. That was probably one of my favorite things to do there. Is the food was fantastic. But as you get farther south in Rosarito and Ensenada, they have other things to do that you can go see that are more touristy. But as missionaries, I honestly didn't get much of a chance to go see those things. And so, well, I'd like to go back and see them sometime, but as a missionary, we just, did fun things every once in a while. Just be careful. No, honestly, it's just you have to be firm when you know you want something. Like if you want to get on a bus, you just have to force your way on there, or, it's not too crazy. You just have to, it's kind of hard to explain the travel system there.